Joining us on this broadcast at this time, live from Jammu, is the Chief Minister of the state of Jammu and Kashmir, Mr. Omar Abdullah. Thank you very much, Mr. Abdullah, for joining us on this broadcast. And I must say, all across the country, there's been a lot of appreciation of the stand that you took. You're the one Chief Minister who actually came out in support of these young girls and their right to go out and sing and not allow the mob to hold them to ransom. But unfortunately, they've cowed down under pressure. There's so much pressure on their families that they say they don't want to sing any further. What will you do, Mr. Chief Minister, to ensure that this band has the right to decide whether they wish to sing or not?
Look, I can only give them the protection that they deserve should they decide to continue, and should their family make a request for such protection. They chose to sing of their own accord. If they choose to continue to sing of their own accord, then yes, the state has a responsibility to protect them, and we'll do whatever we can. But I can't force them to keep singing, no more than anybody else should force them to stop singing.
You know, given that women singing has been such an integral part of Kashmiri society for so many centuries now, what do you make of this protest? You know, from the poetry of Lal Ded to Raj Begum, Zoon Begum, Shamima Dev, there's so many female singers who are heard across Kashmir every single day. What do you make of this protest which is being orchestrated and the pressure that's being made to bear on these young girls?
I don't understand it, because I mean, with a generational change, yes, the kind of music is also changing, but otherwise these girls are just continuing a rich tradition of Kashmiri music that has involved both men and women. I mean, right from the poetry of Lal Ded to Haba Khatun to Noor Jahan Kashmiri to Shamim Azad. We have numerous examples of women who have performed. Our entire Sufiana Islam, Maulana Rumi, the foundation of Sufiana Islam by him was on the basis of music. So how this suddenly, I mean, this is I can understand different people want to interpret religions differently, but as far as Kashmir is concerned, we have a rich tradition and a rich culture of music, which I hope will continue.
We've been speaking to the Hurriyat conference. They say the only person who's actually put out a fatwa is the Grand Mufti, who's very close to the national conference. The Hurriyat conference went to the extent of alleging that this person is on the payrolls of the national conference. They say he's the only one who's come up with this fatwa. How do you ensure that the voice of the fringe mob does not prevail, does not triumph over the voice of the majority, sir?
Rahul, I think first it's very important to understand that the Grand Mufti is not a government appointee, nor is he appointed by the National Conference. In the past, we have had a Muslim Awqaf of which he was not a member. Now, as far as the government is concerned, the Grand Mufti is not on the payrolls of the government. He receives no monetary support from the government. We have no role in his appointment. It is a hereditary position. He has already passed on the mantle to his son. So to allege, I mean, it's very convenient for the Hurriyat conference when they want to divert attention away from what they do or they don't do. They drag the national conference into it. Please understand, how do I benefit from this fatwa being issued? I'm the one who's now trying to undo the damage and to ensure that these girls can sing. If I was so keen for the girls to keep singing, would I have come out in their support before the Hurriyat conference even woke up to this issue? I have nothing to gain and everything to lose from my state being symbolized as some sort of bastion of intolerance, which it has never been.
You know, why is no action being taken against those who've issued the threats, Mr. Abdullah? The fact that so many chief ministers have actually allowed people on the fringes of society to dictate what does and does not happen. Will you consider taking action against those people who've been spamming the social network, Facebook pages of these girls, calling them up, threatening them? Shouldn't action be taken against these people, sir?
Absolutely, it should be taken. I've always maintained that the right of free speech comes with responsibility, and the responsibility is to use that free speech in a reasonable manner. You can't use it to offend or to threaten people, and therefore the police has been told very clearly that the cyber cell of the J&K police, the cyber crime cell, they have been asked to investigate all such threats, and wherever responsibility can be pinpointed, they must act on against those people. See, the problem with social media is that most of what happens anonymously. You are on Twitter, I'm on Twitter. We know what the trolls are like,
True.
how they hide behind anonymity and the distance that is afforded to them by a computer keyboard or a smartphone to say what they like without the fear of reprisal. So yes, if we can identify those people, we'll take action.
You know, also, what I'd like to understand from you is about all these protests that have happened across the country with Mr. Kamal Hassan in Tamil Nadu, with Mr. Rushdie in Kolkata. Mr. Rushdie went to the extent of saying that there is a sense of cultural terrorism, that there is a cultural emergency in our country. Do you see, with all these instances, one after the other in such quick succession, that freedom of speech is under genuine peril in our nation, sir?
I think they're different events for different reasons. I mean, please understand, I mean, if Muslims were so upset about Kamal Hassan's movie, why would their anger be confined only to Tamil Nadu?
Absolutely.
Why would it not spill over to Kerala, which has a higher Muslim population, to Karnataka, to Andhra Pradesh, to UP, to other places? So obviously, I mean, the objection to Kamal Hassan's movie was either financial or political, but it certainly wasn't religious. As far as Salman Rushdie is concerned, look, he wrote a book that no Muslim can ever accept. But this is not the first time he's visited India. Nor was this the first time he was visiting Calcutta. He is not promoting his horrible book, for which obviously all Muslims are still deeply, deeply upset and offended because of what he said. I mean, I don't think it needs to be translated into a wider freedom of speech debate, because I still believe, for all the flaws and faults that we have, we're still more tolerant than a lot of other countries in our neighborhood or even wider neighborhood are.
No, but even on the question of Mr. Rushdie, is the protest now not more political? Because he visited Delhi in his recent trip, he went to Bangalore, he went to Mumbai. There wasn't a single voice that rose in protest. This is all being done by vested political interests to further their political gain. He's written a bad book, people don't like it, Muslims don't like it, that's all right. But surely he has the right to go wherever he wants without being under the fear of the mob all the time, sir.
Look, as I said, he's been to Calcutta before. This wasn't the first time. So clearly this is a question that the government in West Bengal needs to answer. How is it that earlier he was free to travel there and now he's not? Look, I'm the last person who will stand in defense of Mr. Rushdie. I'm not a great fan of his work anyway. And I'm certainly no supporter of what he wrote in the satanic verses. But, I mean, he has traveled in this country. He's been to other cities as well without a peep. I think most Muslims, other than the fact that they are angry about the satanic verses, would really like to forget about him and just let him be.
You know, we just heard from the Hurriyat conference and also from Maulana Firangi Mehli of the All India Muslim Personal Law Board. He said that Qawwali music, Sufi music, this is part of Kashmiri tradition and there is no problem with it. He says Western music, rock music is what is the problem. He called it noise pollution, and he says because there are Western influences and we don't want those to permeate in Kashmiri society, which is why the Hurriyat and also the All India Muslim Personal Law Board are protesting, Mr. Abdullah.
Look, two of these young girls were in headscarves. How much more Islamic do you want them to be?
Absolutely.
Yes, their music is a little different from the tradition, but in the heydays when Lal Ded started writing her poetry and Habba Khatun started singing, even that was different for that time. It's only now that it's culture for us, but at that time it would have been new. When Noor Jahan Kashmiri was recording her LPs, that was new music at that time. It was popular culture at that time. It's only now that it is old historical culture that we have inherited. 100 years from now, what these girls are singing will be treated as old historic music. God knows what new forms of music will have emerged by then. So, I mean, just because their medium is different, I mean, it's only the instruments that have changed.
Absolutely.
The language is the same. And as I said, I mean, those girls, at least if the photographs are correct, at least two of these young girls are in headscarves.
That's true. You can see them on your screen Muslims right now. They're wearing headscarves.
I mean,
and even their music,
art to be.
Even their music is not.
I can't. I'm talking to.
Yeah. No, but I'm saying even their music is not anti-religious. They're not
can't see the
cursing
picture,
Islam.
yeah.
They're not. There's nothing anti-religious in their music in the first place. It's actually music which takes forward a general atmosphere of peace and congeniality. There is nothing in the music which would, from any angle, be considered shocking or horrific or anti-Islamic. Have you, Mr. Chief Minister, spoken to these young girls or their family, reached out, told them that you're with them?
No, let me ask you. I mean, we have a rap singer who goes, if I'm not mistaken, by the name MC Cash. How come there are no fatwas issued against him?
That's
I mean, some of the language he uses, some of the words he uses are reprehensible. He actually uses his music to issue threats. So, I mean, how come that's not un-Islamic? But these girls who are singing about peace and whatever else they're singing about, how come that is un-Islamic?
That's a very important question, but how will you ensure that their voice is not silenced?
Any contact with these families. I don't think I will. Look, I said this in the beginning in my answer to your first question. The decision to sing was theirs. I hope they continue to sing, and if they choose to, if the families feel that their security needs to be taken care of, I'll make sure that the police does a proper threat assessment, and we'll see what needs to be done.
Do you see a larger game plan at play with the extremists? Because there's been record tourist inflow into Kashmir. Militancy is at a historic low. Life is coming back to normal. I've been traveling through Kashmir as well. People are happier than they've been in a very long while. There's normalcy to the extent that there is possible. Do you think that this is part of a fringe minority trying to find some reason to drive a wedge in society to ensure that Kashmir and Srinagar are once again in flames, to agitate people in some way?
No Kashmiri is going to set the place on fire just because a handful of girls are singing songs. Even if they're not happy with the girls singing, even if they believe that it's un-Islamic, they're not going to go out on the streets and set fire. So I don't for a moment believe that there is a wider design to this, and it's designed around replicating the trouble we've had in previous years. This certainly will not be the root cause of that.
You're saying that this will not in any way be allowed to inflame passions across Kashmir. But I want to understand from you, Mr. Chief Minister, how, because other chief ministers...
I'm saying that the average Kashmiri will not allow for it.
Absolutely. I want to understand from you, what do you make of the fact that other chief ministers are not standing up? You know, we're very happy with the fact that you stood up for the right of this young band to sing. Other politicians are not doing it. Do you think it's just easier to give in to temptation and to side with the fringe, because that's where politics gets mixed up, and it's so much tougher to stand up for somebody's right to freedom of speech?
I can't speak for others. I can only speak for myself. Yes, perhaps there are some around me, colleagues of mine, who will perhaps wish that I'd kept quiet. But that's never been the way I am, and hopefully it'll never be the way I turn out. I've always, within reasonable limits, spoken my mind, and I hope to be able to continue to do so.
Are you concerned that this might not go down well in the local politics of Jammu and Kashmir, the fact that you're seen to be siding with the liberals, whereas the extremists or the hardliners would believe that they have a wider constituency that they appeal to, which would believe that hard rock or music actually corrupts young innocent minds?
The day I believe that the majority view in Kashmir is the one that you are suggesting is represented by the extremist fringe element, then yes, I'll worry. Till then, no. I'd like to believe that the majority of the people in Jammu and Kashmir, while silent, are not are not holders of such extremist views.
And what's the message you have for the Grand Mufti? Bashiruddin, he's issued this fatwa. His word clearly carries some weight, because the girls' families have gone into panic. What do you want to tell the Grand Mufti, sir? And how will you act against him? What will you do?
Nothing. I have no message for the Grand Mufti. And anyway, I've never been one to convey messages through channels of media. If there is something I have to say to him, there are other ways of doing it, and we'll leave it at that.
Okay, we're going to leave it at that, but there are two important things you've said. One, if the girls' families feel that there is a threat to their life, you are prepared to step in and provide them security. And the other more important promise is that you will not allow these girls' voices to be silenced. If they wish to sing, they are allowed to go out and sing. And you will also order action be taken against those people on social media who've been posting nasty messages on their Facebook pages and also calling them. Those are the three promises the Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir has made for standing up for free speech. A rare commodity in our country. It's much easier to give in to the extreme mob. For standing up for the right of free speech. Thank you very much, Mr. Omar Abdullah, and thank you for joining us as well from Jammu. Thank you so much.